Have you ever wondered what it means to truly be loved? Not the fleeting, conditional kind of love. I'm talking about the kind of love that digs deep, the kind that reaches into your soul and knows you better than you know yourself. A love that asks the hard questions. When we talk about connection, we're not just talking about surface level interactions or shared moments. We're talking about the kind of connection that reaches beyond words, beyond the physical presence of another person. This is the kind of connection that knows you on a deeper level. It's the kind of connection that looks into your eyes and sees your soul, recognizing all the parts of you that you don't always show. It's the power of seeing someone for who they truly are rather than who you want them to be or who they've had to pretend to be for the world. True love isn't about being in the same room, but about understanding what's happening in the other person's heart, even when they haven't said a word. It's knowing their fears, their hopes, their desires without them having to speak it out loud. It's feeling the unspoken weight of their burdens and still choosing to stand beside them, offering your support without hesitation. Deep connection isn't something that can be forced or rushed. It's earned over time through honesty, vulnerability, and intentional presence. When you are truly connected with someone, the superficial details, like what's happening in the moment, don't matter as much as the deeper emotional resonance that exists between you. It's about knowing how they feel when they walk into a room, sensing when something's off, even if they haven't said it. It's an intuitive understanding, a shared rhythm that feels like a symphony between two people, even in the quietest moments. It's the kind of connection that allows you to hear each other without words, to feel each other's emotions without explanation. In a deep connection, there is no fear of judgment, no need for pretense. It's a space where both people can show up as their true selves, flaws and all, because they know they are accepted, loved, and understood just as they are. There is no need to hide the scars or mask the pain. The connection is built on the foundation of mutual respect, empathy, and trust. It goes beyond physical attraction or temporary emotions. It digs into the core of who you are as a person, and it affirms that who you are is enough. It's the kind of bond that strengthens over time, a bond that doesn't falter when things get tough, but instead deepens when life tests you both. This type of connection is rare, but it is also powerful. It's the kind of connection that transforms relationships, turning them from simple companionships into partnerships that withstand the trials of life. When someone truly loves you, they see that connection as sacred, something worth nurturing and protecting. It's a deep knowing that goes beyond the superficial layers, touching the very essence of your being. It's the understanding that you are not just a role in their life, but a person worthy of being seen, heard, and valued at the deepest level. When it comes to love, too often we are quick to assume. We make judgments based on incomplete information or fleeting emotions, and we project our own fears, insecurities, and past experiences onto the people we care about. Assumptions are dangerous because they create barriers between people instead of fostering the connection that love truly needs. To assume is to make a decision without fully understanding the situation, to fill in the gaps with our own assumptions rather than seeking to know the truth. It's easy to think we know someone, especially when we've been with them for a long time or when we believe we understand their patterns. But love that assumes doesn't leave space for the unexpected or the unseen. Understanding, however, is different. It doesn't take shortcuts or skip over important details. It doesn't rush to conclusions or fill in blanks with our own preferences. Understanding means taking the time to see someone clearly, to take a step back and ask, what are they truly experiencing? What's happening beneath the surface? Love that seeks understanding goes beyond the obvious. It listens not just to the words that are spoken, but to the feelings that are unspoken. It looks at the actions, the body language, the emotions, the silence, and the tears, not just the words. When we love someone, we are called to move beyond assumptions and into the space of understanding. To do this, we must first embrace the fact that we don't know everything about the person we love. No matter how long we've known them, no matter how much we think we understand them, each individual is a complex being with layers that can't be understood by surface interactions alone. Understanding requires patience, empathy, and a willingness to see things from a perspective outside of our own. Rather than jumping to conclusions about why someone is acting a certain way, we must ask the right questions. We have to dig deeper and invite them to share their truth with us. Rather than assuming that their silence means they're upset with us, we should ask them what's going on, creating space for honest conversation. Rather than assuming they understand our needs, we need to openly express them, communicating in a way that fosters mutual respect and clarity. Understanding requires vulnerability from both sides, an openness to receive each other's realities without judgment. Assumptions keep us stuck in a place where we think we know everything. And as a result, we miss the beauty and depth of what's actually happening in the relationship. When we operate from a place of assumption, we stop listening. We stop noticing the small changes, the silent struggles, the quiet victories that are happening in the other person's life. But when we make the choice to understand, we become active participants in the relationship. We lean in, we ask questions, and we let the other person's reality shape our view of them. Understanding is a process that requires effort. It's not passive and it doesn't come easily. It involves actively engaging with the other person, asking open-ended questions and not rushing to fix or solve. It's about being present, being aware of the nuances of the situation, and recognizing that everyone is carrying something, whether it's joy, grief, uncertainty, or excitement, that might not be immediately visible. Understanding doesn't rush to put a label on the other person's feelings or actions. Instead, it takes the time to explore the why behind their behavior, to listen with compassion, and to offer love that is rooted in curiosity, not judgment. In a relationship, when we stop assuming and start understanding, we open the door to deeper communication and connection. We begin to see each other not as two people trying to meet expectations, but as individuals with unique experiences and emotions, each deserving of respect and love in their truest form. Communication in love is not just about speaking and being heard. It's about making a deliberate effort to convey meaning, to be understood, and to truly connect. Intentional communication is rooted in purpose. It's not just passing information back and forth or exchanging words out of habit. It's the act of communicating with care, focus, and an awareness of what both people need in the moment. When we communicate intentionally, we are not speaking to simply fill the silence or to express fleeting thoughts. We are speaking with the intention of deepening understanding, building trust, and creating clarity. In a relationship, intentional communication means we don't wait for the other person to guess what we need. It means being proactive in sharing our thoughts, feelings, and expectations. It involves choosing the right time and the right words to express ourselves, not just blurting out whatever comes to mind, but speaking with respect and purpose. It's knowing that the way we communicate matters just as much as the content of what we say. The tone, the body language, and the choice of words all play a part in how our message is received. Love is not about throwing words out into the air and hoping they land. It's about being intentional about how and when we speak, knowing that every word carries weight. Intentional communication also requires us to listen actively. It's not enough to just hear the words the other person is saying. We have to listen with the intent to understand, to truly grasp what they're trying to convey. It's not about waiting for our turn to speak or planning our response while they're talking. It's about fully absorbing their words, emotions, and intentions, and then reflecting back what we hear, validating their feelings, and responding thoughtfully. The act of listening with intent is just as crucial as the act of speaking with purpose. When communication is intentional, it moves beyond surface level exchanges. It delves into the deeper aspects of the relationship, exploring emotions, challenges, and dreams. It encourages honesty, vulnerability, and authenticity. You speak not just to exchange facts, but to create a shared experience. A moment of mutual understanding where both people are heard and valued. This level of communication requires a certain level of emotional maturity and self-awareness, as well as the courage to speak truthfully, even when it feels uncomfortable. In the context of love, intentional communication involves checking in with each other, not just once in a while, but regularly. It's about asking questions that show genuine interest in the other person's thoughts and feelings. It's about making sure they know they are seen and heard. It's about sharing what's on your heart before it becomes a problem and being open when they do the same. It's the little conversations that matter just as much as the big ones. It's the everyday exchanges, the moments where you pause to connect and be present with one another, even in the midst of busy lives. Moreover, intentional communication doesn't just happen during times of conflict or tension. It's woven into the fabric of the everyday. It's in the compliments you give, the encouragement you offer, and the simple acts of validation that reinforce your bond. It's in the way you make each other feel seen, loved, and respected, not just when things are easy, but all the time. Communication in love doesn't wait for perfect moments. It's intentional in every moment, big or small. Intentional communication also invites us to be aware of how we use our words. It's not just about what we say, but how we say it. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, we may speak in anger or frustration without considering the impact of our words. Intentional communication calls us to choose our words carefully, to pause before reacting, and to respond with empathy rather than defensiveness. It means speaking in ways that build up, not tear down. It's about being mindful that every word has the power to either strengthen or weaken the relationship. The beauty of intentional communication is that it's a two-way street. It creates a space where both people can speak openly without fear of judgment or misinterpretation. It fosters a sense of security and trust, knowing that when you communicate, you're not just exchanging information, but you're building something together. Whether it's solving a problem, sharing a dream, or simply connecting emotionally. Every conversation, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to reinforce the bond between two people who are intentionally choosing to invest in each other's lives. In essence, intentional communication is the foundation on which strong, lasting relationships are built. It transforms ordinary interactions into moments of meaning and purpose. It makes love tangible in the way we speak, listen, and connect with each other day after day. Love is not meant to be a static experience. It's not a place to settle in and remain comfortable. True love challenges us, often in ways we don't expect, to become better versions of ourselves. It pushes us beyond our boundaries, asking us to face our fears, confront our weaknesses, and stretch in ways that we might resist at first. Love does not let us stay the same because it recognizes that growth is at the heart of life's most meaningful connection. When someone loves you deeply, they don't just accept you as you are, they encourage you to evolve, to dream bigger, and to step into the fullness of your potential. They see the parts of you that you might not even see yourself. They recognize your potential, sometimes even before you do, and they challenge you to step into it even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. This challenge doesn't come from a place of criticism or judgment. It comes from a place of care and investment. They want you to be the best version of yourself, not just for them, but for you. Growth in love often involves facing the parts of yourself that you may not want to acknowledge. It's in those moments of vulnerability where love does its most transformative work. You may have to confront patterns or behaviors that have held you back, whether it's fear of failure, insecurities, or old wounds. True love calls you to heal, to grow past the things that have limited you, and to embrace the possibility of becoming more than you ever imagined. Sometimes love challenges you to step outside of your comfort zone. It asks you to try things you've never done, to go places you've never gone, and to take risks you've been too afraid to take. Whether it's pursuing a new career, overcoming a fear, or learning to trust in a deeper way, love doesn't want you to stay stagnant. It encourages you to push past the fear of the unknown and to embrace the journey of growth even when the path isn't clear. It's about walking side by side with someone who believes in your potential even when you doubt it yourself. Growth in love isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability, patience, and a willingness to be challenged. It may mean having difficult conversations or facing uncomfortable truths. It may require you to sacrifice old habits, beliefs, or ways of thinking that no longer serve you. And sometimes love will challenge you by asking you to confront areas of your life that have remained untouched, whether that's your emotional health, your past, or your vision for the future. But the beauty of love is that it doesn't leave you there. It meets you in that discomfort and pushes you toward transformation. In the process of growing, love often requires us to let go of old versions of ourselves. It forces us to shed the layers of who we thought we were, revealing a new, more authentic version of ourselves. It's not always easy to let go of what's familiar, but love helps us see that growth requires change, and change requires release. It's the shedding of old skin, the moving beyond our limitations, and the embracing of new possibilities that lie ahead. Growth is never linear. It's full of challenges, setbacks, and breakthroughs. But love doesn't abandon us in the hard moments. It stays with us, walking alongside us, pushing us to rise above, to be stronger, kinder, and more capable than we were before. Love challenges us to grow, not just individually, but together. In a partnership, growth isn't just about one person changing. It's about both people evolving alongside each other, learning new things, and expanding their understanding of one another. Love asks you to create a shared vision for the future, to support each other's dreams, and to grow together, not apart. It's the kind of challenge that asks both individuals to elevate their thinking, to challenge each other's assumptions, and to inspire each other to become better every day. True love is not about keeping you in your comfort zone. It's about helping you reach your potential, even when it seems difficult. It's a force that propels you forward, even when you don't feel ready. And in the end, love's challenge is not just about becoming the best for someone else. It's about becoming the best for yourself, discovering new strengths, overcoming obstacles, and embracing the person you are becoming. Vulnerability and trust are the cornerstones of any deep and meaningful relationship. They are the bedrock upon which true love is built. To love someone is to risk showing them parts of yourself that you've kept hidden, parts that you've been afraid to reveal even to yourself. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the greatest strength you can offer because it requires courage to expose your raw, unguarded self. It means letting someone into your world, not just the polished, perfect version of you that you present to the world, but the messy, imperfect, sometimes broken parts. And it's in that space of rawness, when we're most vulnerable, that the deepest connections are formed. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we give others permission to do the same. Vulnerability isn't just about sharing our pain, our fears, or our insecurities. It's also about sharing our dreams, our hopes, and the things that make us feel alive. It's about showing the other person the parts of us that are still growing, still evolving. It's the invitation to be fully known and fully seen without the fear of judgment or rejection. The beauty of vulnerability lies in the act of being open enough to say, "This is who I am, all of me, the good, the bad, and the in-between." But vulnerability isn't something we can give freely without trust. Trust is the foundation that allows vulnerability to exist safely. Trust is the belief that the person we are exposing ourselves to will not use our weaknesses against us, that they will treat our hearts with care, and that they will respond with empathy and love. Trust is built over time through consistent actions and authentic connection. It's something that is earned, not demanded, and once broken, it can take a long time to rebuild. Without trust, vulnerability is like standing naked in the storm, vulnerable but unprotected, open but exposed. When we trust someone, we believe that they will not abandon us when we show them our true selves. Trust allows us to put down our guards and let someone into our inner world. It's the confidence that the person we love will honor our heart and handle it with the utmost care. Trust enables vulnerability to thrive because it provides the security we need to share our most intimate thoughts, feelings, and fears. Without trust, vulnerability is a risk that may not be worth taking. But with trust, vulnerability becomes the key that unlocks deeper intimacy, greater understanding, and a stronger emotional bond. It's important to recognize that vulnerability and trust are not one-time actions. They are ongoing processes. Love doesn't just ask for vulnerability once and then leave it at that. It requires us to continue showing up with an open heart, even when we fear that it might be hurt. Trust doesn't happen overnight. It's built through small, consistent moments where we show that we are reliable, dependable, and safe. When we are able to consistently trust each other, we begin to build a foundation of security where vulnerability can flourish. In relationships, there will be times when our vulnerability is met with pain, when we expose our hearts and they get hurt in return. But true love doesn't use vulnerability as an opportunity to harm. Instead, it offers healing. It is in the moments when we are most vulnerable, when we have nothing left to hide, that trust is either affirmed or broken. When someone can hold your heart in their hands and care for it in its most fragile state, that's when the deepest trust is formed. Love doesn't shy away from these moments of vulnerability. It leans into them with compassion and grace. Being vulnerable also requires us to trust ourselves. It means trusting that our hearts are worthy of love, even when they're open and exposed. It means giving ourselves the permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, and to trust that we are still deserving of love in all our imperfection. In vulnerability, we come face to face with our own humanity, and trust allows us to be okay with that. Ultimately, vulnerability and trust are what make love real. Without them, love is just an idea, an abstraction, something that exists in the ideal but never in the flesh. It's through vulnerability and trust that we experience the transformative power of love. The kind that heals, the kind that strengthens, and the kind that deepens over time.